Okay, hi everyone. This is a new Meshops assembly analysis that I'm working on. I wanted to do a little preview on this one. So it's based on the fact that the pen generator and the pen extrude Meshops cannot hold multiple polyline at the same time. So when you need to create some geometry from Polyline, you have to use multiple setup with the multiple pen extrude, and that's not really sustainable in a production. So I created this one, and here I have just a basic example with few polylines. I will turn the vertices, so you see there's just 90 degrees corners, but you can do whatever you want. So for example, I will move this here like this, and here I have an assembly called multitube. The name is not final, but it represents basically what it does. So when I have to create some tubes, some pipes, some cylinders along a path, I need to use this one. So it basically uses the polyline as a driver, okay, as a source. And what is interesting is you have multiple options. So of course you can invert the polygons, you can cap the start and the finish, okay, the cap start and cap end. On those you have an option to turn off or on the corner scale that can sustain a better transition between two different directions. And also of course you have the ability to change the amount and the level of the bevel of right. And you have multiple actions, so you can change the radius here of the main tube size, okay, this is the radius here, and you can change also the amount of sides on this one. So I will go back to the base value, and here I will add a few more stuff. So what is interesting here is that you can still manipulate your, so we'll turn off the vertices, you can still manipulate this and it will update the tube itself. That's normal, that's the way it should work, but now it works with multiple polyline at the same time. So it's called multitube 64 because it's limited to 64 polylines. Connected lines, so I mean individual polylines. So the best things is probably to use all the different Meshops that I've made. So for example, here we have the 64, we have the 32 and the 16 setup, just to optimize stuff. Same thing as usual. Here there's some optimization to remove some processing, but I think that's better to have multiple variations of this Meshops. Sorry. So what we will do here, so you can drive this with 64 elements. So here I have 64 polylines, and it's all used into those pipe, okay. So this is one example, but we will stay and remains on this one for the purpose. So here you have this option, but you have also multiple sources here. So I will just extend the visibility of the inputs. So you have a polyline that is basically the path. You have the path profile that can be changed. So actually that's just a circle, right? And so I will go back to the wireframe, so it's just a circle, but you can select another one. So for example, here I have a different setup, so I will show it. Maybe it's hidden, so I will unhide and show it back. Okay, so we have this kind of mesh here with a different path profile. So I will connect this to here, to the path profile input, and it will change the shape we've got along the path. Okay, so this can be really useful. And what is interesting is whatever you define here at the scale, it will also remains to the scale that is specified here. So the profile radius is 50 millimeters, right, on this one. So even if I select the polygons and go to the object and change the scale, it will not change the scale at all. Okay, you see it didn't change it here. So you have a main control here that is reliable and easy to use here. So whatever you do on the scale here, it will not take this in charge. Okay, so I will go back, and so here you have this option, but you have also the option to add an extremity. So actually here you have just a tube, right, with a specific profile, right, but you can add some more stuff in it. So here I can add an extremity toggle that is basically just a sphere, as an example. Okay, this is the default one in order to see the extremity more easier. You can change the extremity properties. So you have here the extremity properties here, that is 2 times the size of the radius. So if, for example, if I put 4, it's 4 times the size of the radius. And what is interesting with this is you can change the profile radius, and it will also change the extremity. So it's up to you, but I thought that it could be better and more easier to manipulate and tweak. So you have this, but you can also plug a specific profile. So here I will go back to the center, the origin, and here I have a mesh with just a polyline, same thing, with few points, and they have a specific profile, right? And they will be revolved on the y-axis in order to match, for example, this shape. So here we go back here and take a look at the profile, and I will plug this here into the extremity profile. So same stuff here, even if the size of the profile is specific to this line, even if I scale it, it will not change the scale of the extremity here. Okay, so this is really interesting because same thing as usual. I try to get things more tweakable, and so you can change here, for example, to 6, and you have 6 times the radius of the main tube. So this is one example, but yeah, it functions really well. So this is for the extremity. So I talk about the bevel, the main tube properties here, the extremity here, and you have also a pipe joint properties. So this pipe joint means that you can get a representation. So if I turn pipe joint toggle, you see here we have a representation of where the joints, the pieces of metal will be placed. It can be whenever you want, whatever you want, it's up to you. But just to represent things here, it's maybe better to change, for example, the size. Oh no, okay, that's just a guide, so it didn't change it. I will put this to 0 and get back the wireframe. So basically it tries to match and align with the last, with just a little gap in between the last corner. So if you change the bevel corner, what is interesting it is that it will change also the position of the guide. So let me show you this. I will divide this by 5 Ah, no, that's not this one. Sorry, that's the bevel corner. Okay, right. So if I do this with 50 millimeters, you see that the guide I've changed on the position. I will go on the right side, maybe it might be more easier to understand. Okay, so we have a safe value here, but here if I change the bevel corner size, you see that it pushed the guide on the side. So what is interesting now, probably and more easier to understand, is that those guides, I can uncheck this and I can joint this mesh. That is, I will get a look at here. Okay, maybe it's not visible. Okay, yes. So we have these pieces here that is just completely closed. Okay, but it represents a joint between two different pieces. And so I will add those and get back to here and connect this to the pipe joint. So what is a bit difficult with the Meshops assembly aliases, and this is one remark that I do for the developers. When you expose multiple sources, you will only get sources, and you will not get the name of the output here, or I mean the input shown on the side. So in order to be sure that you have the correct order, I've named those with a number, an index at the start. So we have 01, 02, 03, 04, and it means that every time you will load this Meshops assembly aliases, you will always get source, but it will be in the correct order. Okay, so let me show you this. So here I connect this element, and now we have the joints that are connected to this, and we still can change a few stuff here. So we have the pipe joint scale ratio. So I will lower this to 1, for example. Oh, I have something wrong here. It's not changing anything. Got to scale this down or up. Okay, I have something broken here, but I can probably fix it lately. Okay, so I will remove this to get more kind of a pipe here, and I can also push those pipe joints because they are always at a specific distance, and I will change those here with the pipe joint offsets. So if I add 0.2, for example, that will be pushed inside the main line. So for example, on those, if I do an extreme, okay, an extreme example, 1 meter, they will be pushed by 1 meter into this direction and this direction. Okay, but you get the idea. And yeah, of course you can block those kind of stuff, but it remains to the setup of the polyline you've made, so don't touch this too much. It's easier for manipulate and tweak a bit the shapes, but yeah, it can be really interesting. You have the pipe joint, you have the extremity, and you have the tube that is functioning on 64 limits polylines though, so that's probably enough. I will connect this to the 64 example, for example, to finish. So here we have, for example, I have a terrace for the stadium, and I was working on this lately, and I thought that yeah, it can be really interesting to get those represented by just polyline and things that can be easy tweakable. So here I can do the same stuff, enable the extremity and enable the pipes if I want to convert those to the pipe. Actually that's just a guard rail, but yeah, it works that way. So yeah, it can be really interesting for game content. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know what you think about this. I will probably release it on the Gumroad. There's a few stuff on the backside that I'm still working on. Also has this one that I need to fix. But I have a compute UV and different passes to deploy and unwrap all those elements. But there's some bugs in it. I already told that to the foundry, and there's probably a little bug to be fixed soon. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. See you. Bye bye.